A barefoot father dressed in simple work clothes from the farm arrives at his daughter's graduation. His appearance attracts jokes, but in the face of this scene, the daughter reacts in a surprising way, leaving everyone around astonished. In a small rural village, surrounded by fields that stretch as far as the eye can see, lives Benjamin, a man with calloused hands and a gentle smile marked by life's hardships. Benjamin is a laborer of the land, a man who found in farming not only his livelihood, but also a place to forget the pains of the past. Benjamin's story is marked by a moment of profound sadness that defined much of his future. The loss of his beloved wife Florence, during the birth of their only daughter, Julia. Florence, known for her kindness and strength by everyone in the village, left a vast emptiness in Benjamin's heart. On her deathbed, she extracted a promise from Benjamin to take care of their daughter and give her the best education possible, preparing her for a world larger than their small village. Julia grew up under Benjamin's attentive and loving gaze. From a young age, she showed an insatiable curiosity about the world around her. Her favorite books were not fairy tales, but old, worn-out encyclopedias that Benjamin managed to find at garage sales in neighboring towns. The girl had a thirst for knowledge that made her spend hours observing the stars, drawing plants, and dreaming of places she only knew through the pages of books. The relationship between Benjamin and Julia was one of deep complicity. He saw in his daughter the reflection of Florence, not only in her physical traits, but also in the way she moved and spoke. Every day, after returning from the fields, Benjamin dedicated hours helping Julia with her studies, despite the physical exhaustion imposed by his work. They had a simple routine. After dinner, while Julia did her homework, Benjamin would tell her stories about her mother, about the imaginary adventures they would have lived together if she was still there. Benjamin's effort to keep the promise made to his wife was visible in Julia's progress at school. She was an exceptional student, always at the top of her class, admired not only for her intelligence but also for her humility. But even with all her academic achievements, Julia never let the praise change her essence. She knew the sacrifice her father made every day, and this motivated her to work even harder. As time passed, the small wooden house they lived in filled with Julia's trophies and certificates, each one a story of dedication and love, a testament to the unbreakable bond between father and daughter. But as the end of high school approached, both knew they would face new challenges. And the biggest one was about to happen: Julia's graduation, an event that promised to be as grand as it was challenging for Benjamin, who had never felt comfortable at large celebrations. Julia had always been an observant and insightful child, and this nature did not change as she grew up. In her small rural world, each day at school was an opportunity to explore new horizons. The challenges, however, were many. The village school lacked resources like those found in educational centers in large cities, but what it lacked in resources, it made up for in dedication, both from the teachers and from Julia. Benjamin always strove to bridge any gaps. With the help of old textbooks and recycled materials, he created small experiments to help Julia better understand science, her favorite subject. By lantern light, father and daughter spent long nights reviewing subjects for tests, with Benjamin doing his best to learn alongside her, even though he often didn't fully understand the concepts he tried to teach. Over the years, Julia not only excelled academically, but also emerged as a leader among her peers. She started a science club at school, motivating other students to get involved with practical projects. This initiative not only strengthened the school's science program, but also brought new life to the student community, which began to see the value in practical education. However, Julia's success also brought challenges. Some of her peers, influenced by jealousy or simply personality clashes, sometimes turned against her. There were times when Julia came home disheartened, questioning the value of her efforts. In those times, Benjamin was her safe harbor. He knew how to balance being a father and a teacher, always finding the right words to motivate her to keep moving forward. "It's not just about winning trophies or being the best, Julia," Benjamin often said. "It's about what you learn about yourself and about the world along the way. It's about being true to your values, just as your mother would have wished." As the end of high school approached, concerns about the future began to weigh more heavily. Julia knew that to continue her education in the way she wanted, she would need to leave the village and face a much larger and more complex world. Benjamin, for his part, faced his own internal dilemma. He wanted the best for his daughter, but the idea of seeing her leave broke his heart. It was a conflict between the desire to keep her safe and close and the impulse to let her fly. Their relationship intensified even further during the preparations for college entrance exams. Benjamin, though limited in knowledge about many of the topics covered in the exams, showed an incredible ability to find people and resources that could help Julia. He organized study sessions with teachers from a nearby town and even secured a partial scholarship for her at a preparatory school. On the night before the exam, Benjamin and Julia sat under the stars, a ritual they had adopted whenever they needed to find peace and clarity. They talked about the future, about hopes and fears, and Benjamin reinforced the promise he had made to his wife years ago. "No matter where you are, Julia, remember that you carry the love and values that your mother and I planted in you. Let it shine, my daughter." As Julia prepared for the biggest academic test of her life so far, Benjamin prepared for the emotional test of letting his daughter grow and follow her own path. This part of their lives was ending, but it was just the beginning of a new journey for both of them. In the early rays of sun that sliced through the horizon, Benjamin was already up, preparing for another day of work on the farm. The song of birds accompanied his steady steps along the dirt road leading to the fields. Farming was a vital part of Benjamin's life, not only as a means of subsistence, but as a link to the past and a legacy for the future he desired for Julia. Benjamin's daily routine was exhausting, but every drop of sweat shed in the fields was a testament to his love for Julia. He primarily cultivated corn and beans, but always reserved a small part of the land for growing flowers, a reminder of his wife Florence, who loved colorful gardens. These flowers, though simple, were laden with meaning and beauty, a symbol of lost love and hope kept alive. Julia, for her part, divided her time between her studies and helping Benjamin as much as she could. Although her heart was turned towards books and learning, she never hesitated to make an effort and work alongside her father. These moments in the field were precious opportunities for them to strengthen their bond. "Julia," Benjamin would say, as he showed her how to carefully plant the seeds, "each plant that grows here has a story, just like us. And just like these plants need water and sun, we need love and knowledge to grow. You are like these flowers, unique and full of potential." The evenings were the counterpoint to their arduous mornings. After a day of work and study, Benjamin and Julia sat at the kitchen dinner table under the dim light of a hanging lamp. It was a time of calm and sharing, where they discussed the small events of the day. Julia, always curious, asked questions about everything, and Benjamin did his best to answer, often learning alongside her. On one such night, as the rain gently pattered on the roof of the house, Julia voiced concerns about the upcoming college entrance exams and life at university away from home. Benjamin, with his calm and thoughtful manner, reaffirmed the importance of pursuing her dreams. "You are ready for this challenge, Julia. You have built a solid foundation here, but now it's time to forge your own path. Remember, no matter where you go, you will always carry a piece of this place with you, and I will be here." always. Benjamin's unwavering support gave Julia the courage she needed to face the fears of the unknown. She knew that, despite the distance that would soon separate them, the love and teachings of her father would be her compass in any challenge she faced. As Julia's graduation approached, the small house she shared with Benjamin began to fill with a mix of excitement and nervousness. The graduation ceremony represented not only the culmination of Julia's academic efforts, but also the fulfillment of a promise made many years ago by Benjamin to his wife. This occasion was much more than an educational celebration. It was a milestone in both their lives, a testament to sacrifice and love. While Julia focused on her final exams and projects, Benjamin began planning his trip to the city where the ceremony would be held. Despite living a simple life and rarely leaving the village, Benjamin was determined to do everything in his power to make Julia's day perfect. He saved every penny he could, cutting expenses where possible, to ensure they would have a comfortable stay during the event. On a sunny afternoon, while Julia was at school, Benjamin went up to the attic in search of something appropriate to wear for the graduation. To his dismay, he discovered that he owned no attire suitable for the occasion. His wardrobe consisted mainly of work clothes, worn from time and labor in the fields. The reality of his financial situation hit hard. Buying a new outfit was out of the question, and the options for borrowing something from friends were limited, given his robust size. Feeling somewhat helpless, Benjamin weighed his options. Night fell as he sat at the kitchen table, his hands clasped together, eyes lost in thought. It was then that Julia entered, finding him absorbed in his worries. Seeing her father's expression, she instinctively knew something was wrong. "Dad, what happened? You seem worried," Julia asked, approaching him with a look of affection. Benjamin looked at his daughter and decided to be honest. "Julia, I don't have anything appropriate to wear for your graduation, and I can't afford to buy something new. I wanted to look my best for your big day." Julia smiled gently and took her father's hands in hers. "Dad, that doesn't matter. What matters is that we'll be together. You've always said that a person's worth isn't in their clothes, but in their character. That's all we need." Inspired by Julia's words, Benjamin found a new resolve. "You're right, my dear. I will be there with or without a new outfit to see you reach this great milestone." In the days leading up to the trip, Benjamin and Julia reviewed all the details together. They prepared Julia's suitcase, chose the clothes she would wear, and reviewed the route they would take to the city. Everything was meticulously planned to ensure there would be no unforeseen issues, except, of course, for Benjamin's attire. Finally, the day to depart arrived. Benjamin, dressed in his best clothes, though still simple and somewhat worn, looked at the house that had been their world for so many years. A sigh escaped his lips as he locked the door, ready to accompany his daughter on one of the most significant days of her life. The journey was smooth, marked by conversations about the future and memories of the past. Upon arrival at their destination, the nervousness was palpable, but both knew they were ready to face whatever came together, as they had always done. They arrived early at the ceremony venue, allowing themselves time to soak in the atmosphere before other guests arrived. The auditorium was vast and richly decorated, a sight very different from Julia's modest school facilities. As Julia joined the other graduates for final preparations, Benjamin found a spot to wait for the event to begin. While waiting, Benjamin decided to take a walk around the auditorium to stretch his legs and ease the tension. It was during this walk that he felt something odd in his shoes. With a look of concern, Benjamin bent down to examine and discovered that the sole of one of his shoes had split, a victim of the many hours spent in the field. He tried to walk, but the shoe was irreparably damaged, making it impossible to continue wearing it. With a resigned sigh, Benjamin removed his shoes and stood barefoot. For a moment, he hesitated at the entrance to the auditorium, internally struggling with the decision to enter such a formal event without shoes. It was then that Julia's words echoed in his mind. "What matters is that we'll be together." Strengthened by this thought and the unwavering love he felt for his daughter, Benjamin straightened his shoulders and walked barefoot into the auditorium. Benjamin's entrance did not go unnoticed. Some guests cast surprised looks, and others whispered among themselves upon seeing a barefoot man at such an elegant event. However, Benjamin kept his head high, focused only on the pride and love he felt for Julia. As the ceremony began, the Master of Ceremonies introduced the segments with great enthusiasm. The speeches by the administrators echoed through the auditorium, filled with praise and hopes for the future of the graduates. When it was Julia's turn to take the stage for her speech, Benjamin felt an indescribable mix of nervousness and pride. Julia walked confidently to the podium, and as she began to speak, her firm and clear voice filled the room. She talked about the challenges and achievements, about the teachers and classmates who marked her journey, and highlighted the importance of family support and sacrifice. "I am here today because of the unconditional support of my father," Julia declared, casting a loving glance towards Benjamin. "He is the reason I never gave up, no matter the challenges I faced." Julia's words transformed the atmosphere around Benjamin. The looks that were once curious or judgmental now reflected respect and admiration. The honesty and love evident in her speech touched many hearts, and the auditorium filled with warm applause. Benjamin, though barefoot, felt like the richest man in the world at that moment. The love and pride emanating from his daughter were more valuable than any pair of shoes or outfit could offer. They shared something much more significant, a mutual love and respect that sustained them through all adversities. After Julia's impactful speech, as she stepped down from the stage to rejoin her father, the ceremony continued with an atmosphere of celebration and pride. However, not everyone present shared the same respect and admiration that Julia had for her father. Among the graduates and some younger guests, whispers and giggles began to spread, pointing at Benjamin's simple clothes and especially the fact that he was barefoot. A group of students in particular seemed to find amusement in the contrast between the formal attire of the occasion and Benjamin's humble appearance. "Look, it seems he forgot something as basic as shoes," one of the students mocked, eliciting laughter from his friends. The cruel words and scornful glances directed at Benjamin were painful, and for a moment he felt a twinge of shame. Julia, noticing the situation as she approached, felt a surge of anger and protectiveness for her father. Without hesitation, she positioned herself between Benjamin and the group of students, her posture firm and her gaze defiant. "You might think it's funny to judge someone by their appearance or circumstances, but that just shows how little you know about respect and true dignity," Julia began, her voice laden with emotion. "This man, whom you choose to ridicule, has given me everything I could wish for, not in material terms, but in love, support, and opportunities to stand here today as one of you." The students, taken aback by the reprimand, fell silent, unsure how to respond. Julia continued, "If having or not having shoes is what you use to measure a person's value, then you really have a lot to learn about what truly matters in life." With the situation somewhat calmed and the group of students visibly embarrassed, Julia turned to Benjamin, who watched the scene with a mix of sadness and pride. "Dad, where are your shoes?" she asked gently, concerned. Benjamin sighed, a sad smile touching his lips. "They broke on the way here, dear. I'm sorry for that. I didn't want you to worry or feel embarrassed." Julia, hearing her father's words, quickly shook her head. "There's nothing to apologize for, Dad. I'm so proud and grateful that you are here with me today. That's all that matters." The incident served as a moment of learning not only for the group of students, but for everyone present. Julia's lesson about values and respect resonated among the guests, turning what could have been a moment of embarrassment into a powerful demonstration of character and integrity. And so, Julia's graduation continued with the tension from the confrontation with the disrespectful students now dissipated, replaced by an atmosphere of respect. Many of the attendees began to see Benjamin with new understanding, realizing that true greatness is often disguised by simplicity. After the incident, the graduation ceremony proceeded. Julia, having already delivered a powerful speech, was asked to come to the stage again, this time to receive an honor award for her academic excellence. When her name was announced, warm applause echoed through the auditorium, a sound that carried not only admiration for her academic achievements, but also respect for her integrity and courage. Walking up to the stage with her head held high, Julia looked at the faces in the crowd, her eyes meeting her father's. She smiled at Benjamin, a smile that conveyed love and gratitude, and then turned her attention to the audience. As she accepted the award, she was again invited to speak. "This award is more than a recognition of the hours I spent studying or the projects I completed," began Julia, her voice filled with emotion and determination. "It is a testimony to the sacrifice and unconditional support of my father. Every page I read, every equation I solved, was possible because he stood by my side, encouraging me never to give up." She paused, looking around the auditorium, ensuring that each word had an impact. "Today, some people here question my father's worth based on his appearance and the clothes he wears. But let me tell all of you, the value of a person should not be measured by the clothes they wear, but by the content of their character." Julia continued speaking about Benjamin's work ethic, his kindness, and the love he demonstrated every day, not just to her, but to the entire community. She recounted how he had turned the pain of losing his wife into strength and determination to create a better life for his daughter. "My father taught me that true education goes beyond books. It is about learning to face adversity with courage, about treating everyone with respect and dignity, regardless of their circumstances," she stated, each word reinforcing the respect she felt for Benjamin. As she finished her speech, Julia stepped down from the stage to a standing ovation. Those who had previously whispered and laughed were now silent, many visibly moved by Julia's words. She walked back to her place next to Benjamin, who greeted her with a tight hug. "I couldn't be prouder of you, my dear," whispered Benjamin, tears shining in his eyes. This moment not only strengthened the bond between Benjamin and Julia, but also served to educate and influence the hearts and minds of everyone present. After the graduation ceremony and the subsequent events, Benjamin and Julia finally left the auditorium, the echoes of applause and words of admiration still resonating in their ears. The night air was fresh, and the sky above sparkled with stars, offering a perfect backdrop for deep reflections. Walking slowly to the car, Benjamin felt a mix of emotions. The pride for his daughter was immense, of course, but there was also a bittersweet feeling knowing that this milestone signaled a new phase in Julia's life, one that would inevitably lead them on separate paths. Julia, for her part, was thoughtful, feeling empowered by the day's experiences and the lessons that both she and others had learned. Before getting into the car for the ride back home, Julia suggested they take a small detour. "Dad, let's stop at the sunflower field near the road. I want to see the stars from there," she said in her gentle tone. Benjamin agreed without hesitation, driving the car to the field Julia mentioned. When they arrived, both got out and walked among the rows of sunflowers, whose heavy heads swayed gently in the night wind. They found a place to sit, looking up at the vast starry sky above them. Sitting there amid nature and under the starlight, Benjamin broke the silence. "Julia, today was a day of many emotions, but I want you to know how proud I am of you, not just for your achievements, but for the person you've become." Julia held her father's hand, squeezing it lightly. "I owe all of this to you, Dad. All your love, your sacrifice, has taught me more than any book could. You've shown me what it means to be strong and kind." Benjamin smiled, gazing at the stars, thoughtful. "Your mother would be so proud, Julia. She always knew you would do great things." "I hope to live up to that, Dad. And wherever my journey takes me, I'll always carry a bit of you with me," Julia replied, her eyes shimmering with tears of emotion. They remained silent for a while, simply enjoying each other's company and the beauty of the night. It was a moment of transition, of closing one chapter and starting another, but also a moment of renewal. Finally, rising to return to the car, Benjamin looked at his daughter with a mix of nostalgia and hope. "Julia, whatever the future holds for you, know that you will always have a home to come back to. And remember the stars. They are a reminder that there is beauty and infinite possibilities out there." With those words, they returned to the car, driving back home, but carrying with them the lessons and love that would define their lives from that point onward. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Until the next story.